The Galactic Council chamber had witnessed 1,000 years of civilized discourse. Disputes resolved through carefully worded treaties. Conflicts settled by economic sanctions and diplomatic maneuvering. Violence was a relic of primitive species, something the enlightened races had evolved beyond. Commander Vexthor of the Krillian Empire hadn't received that particular memo. The human delegation had arrived on station 3 days prior. Lieutenant Marcus Webb stood as Earth's military attaché, a position most species considered ceremonial. Humans were newcomers, their planet a death world by galactic standards, crushing gravity, violent weather, apex predators that would give seasoned warriors nightmares. But they were also small, their delegation consisting of just 12 individuals attending their first major council session. The Krillians had held their seat for 6 centuries. Vexthor commanded a fleet of 300 vessels and ruled over 17 subjugated systems. When he spoke, dozens of species listened. When he demanded, they complied. So when a vote came down to mining rights in the Tertius sector, a region Earth had surveyed and claimed, but the Krillians wanted, Vexthor expected the usual outcome. The council would side with power. They always did. The human voted no. Vexthor's mandibles clicked in irritation. The Deathworlder speaks out of turn. Perhaps it does not understand the gravity of defying the Krillian Empire. Marcus remained standing, his voice level. We understand perfectly. The answer is still no. The chamber fell silent. Dozens of species watched, their various sensory organs fixed on the exchange. The Zolofi ambassador's tentacles coiled nervously. The Morvathian observer's scales rippled with anxiety. Everyone knew what came next in Krillian culture. Vexthor descended from his elevated platform, his 4 legs carrying his massive frame across the chamber floor. He stood nearly 3 meters tall, his exoskeleton gleaming under the artificial lights, weapons of office hanging from his ceremonial harness. The human barely reached his thorax. You will reconsider, Vexthor said, his translator converting the words into something approximating a threat. No, Marcus replied simply. The slap came fast, a backhanded strike from one of Vexthor's primary appendages. In Krillian culture, it was an insult, a challenge, a demand for submission. The human's head snapped to the side, blood appearing at the corner of his mouth. The chamber waited for the human to fall, to apologize, to recognize the natural order. Marcus straightened slowly. He touched his lip, looked at the red on his fingers, and smiled. Not a friendly smile. Something else entirely. Article 7 of the Deathworlder Accord, he said quietly. Physical assault against a human representative constitutes an act of war. Vexthor's mandibles spread in what might have been amusement. Your species of 12 against the Krillian. He never finished the sentence. Marcus moved with a speed that shouldn't have been possible in the station's standard gravity. The combat knife appeared from somewhere in his uniform. The blade, primitive, sharp, entirely analog, found the soft joint between Vexthor's head and thorax with surgical precision. The Krillian commander's head hit the floor before his body did. 5 seconds. That's how long it took for the feed to broadcast across every major hub in the galaxy. 5 seconds for 1,000 years of civilized protocol to shatter like glass. Marcus wiped the blade clean, returned it to its sheath, and looked at the council. His voice remained steady, professional, as if he'd just filed a requisition form instead of executing a foreign commander. Earth's vote remains no. The Tertius sector is ours by right of discovery and survey. Any species that wishes to dispute this claim is welcome to do so through Propre diplomatic channels. He paused, his eyes sweeping the chamber, or through other means. The silence stretched. Then, slowly, the Zolofi ambassador raised a tentacle in agreement. The Morvathian followed, then another species and another. The vote passed unanimously. As Marcus returned to his delegation, the Krillian second-in-command finally found his voice through the translator. You cannot simply, there are laws, protocols. Marcus paused at the chamber door. Commander Vexthor initiated physical violence against a representative of a Deathworld species. We responded according to our protocols. He glanced back at the body. Your commander learned an important lesson today. Unfortunately, he didn't survive the education. What lesson? The Krillian demanded. Marcus's expression was cold as void. Never put your hands on a human unless you're prepared for us to remove them, along with everything else. The door sealed behind the human delegation. The galactic feed continued broadcasting, and every species in the council chamber made a mental note to update their files on humanity. Deathworlders, it turned out, had earned their reputation.